Hello, 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 and welcome to today's episode of Her Version. This podcast is dedicated to sharing stories of struggle to triumph, a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you follow, like, and share. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. Let's jump right in. I love it when the audience starts coming in before we barely even get started. For those of you that are jumping on, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for supporting Renee and her journey today, speaking to us and the Her Version platform. The Her Version platform is built on storytelling and the understanding that many times our greatest learning experiences come from listening to other people's stories. Today, I am speaking with an amazing woman, Renee Hill. She is married to Tom Hill, and they have 5 phenomenal children and 4 grandchildren. She is an only child to parents who have been married for 52 years. She is a university professor, and her favorite thing to do is read. Renee encourages the people around her to dream and believes you can make your dreams a reality with some planning and pivoting in your life. She is here to share some of her journey and some of her challenges in order to inspire all of us to live our best life. Welcome, Renee. One of the issues that I dealt with a lot growing up was beliefs that were given to me that I didn't ask for. Mm-hmm. And not in a malicious way. Society, your environment, your parents, religion, friends, culture, many times ingrain us with a thought process that isn't always serving us. And I'd like to ask, through your journey, have you had any limiting beliefs that have hindered you growing up? And out of them, what's one that you've turned around and that you believe now?
Wow, Sabrina, there's so many. I will say, religion messes a lot of people up.
Yeah,
it does. I've said several times, and I'm going to keep saying it. I mean, I am a Christ follower. I believe in God. The whole, you got to go to church or you're not a good person, or you have to show your faith in a certain way, or you're not doing it right. That's kind of how I was raised. And again, I say over and over again, my parents, the people that I went to church with, my family, they did the best they knew how, right?
Yeah.
They could only give me what they had.
Yeah.
But in some ways it was damaging. And in some ways it caused me to live a very fearful life that caused me to be paralyzed.
Yeah.
And I do believe, I'm not going to say that I believe religion caused me to have a depression or to have depression, because a lot of that is biological and chemical. But I believe that I didn't develop the type of strength that I needed, emotionally and mentally, to be able to see situations as they were and not kind of slide into it all the guilt, because a lot of guilt comes in religion. It's a lot of guilt, and I learned to live a guilty life. Everything I did, I felt guilty about. I'll give you a really weird example. Even I think I've lived with a guilty conscience kind of thing until I was in my probably like mid 30s. Wow. And I'm not anymore. Now I don't mind about my age. I'm 47. 47 now. And I would say that I really didn't start to really just kind of shed that fear until, honestly, until I met my husband 12 years ago. Right. Um, so um, the the fear factor is really serious, right? And a lot of people suffer from it, and the paralysis that comes along with that, it can just be, it's awful. It's awful. And I am glad to be able to not have that level of fear anymore. That's, it's my first instinct though. But anyway, so back to the story I was going to tell you. I missed the flight because the flight that I came in on was late. Was not my fault. But I missed the flight, the connecting flight, and was in tears because in my mind, I had done something wrong. And the people that were expecting me to be on the flight were going to be let down because I wasn't there. And, now I look back at that and I think, that was just weird. What, are you also a narcissist? But no, it really was that in my mind, you're supposed to do everything right. And so the right thing to do was to get on that plane.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And so I'm a bad person now. So, I mean, that's how the mind can trick you. Things even outside your control become your fault now, right? So that's that whole thing. I grew up with a lot of fear instilled in me that I just couldn't drop. So no, I no longer really have that limiting belief that, that not everything should provoke fear or invoke fear, excuse me. So now I've switched that into the fear. And so the fear that I had was really a fear of failure. That's what it was. And what I've learned now is that there really isn't failure, there's feedback, right? When things happen that are different than what we were expecting or contrary to what we, thought we wanted, it is feedback. We choose to assign meanings and feelings to certain situations and certain outcomes of those situations. And we can also choose to not assign any meaning. We can look at things that happen and say, oh, wow, that happened. I wasn't expecting that to happen. What should I be learning from this? And then move on.
Yeah.
We don't have to stay stuck in that. This didn't work out. I'm a bad person. I've got to do something different. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. We don't have to do that.
Yeah.
We have the absolute ability, and I believe that we should be looking at situations like, okay, I need to figure out what I'm supposed to learn from that. And then I can apply that in a different situation. I can also share the situation and share the outcome with someone else.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well said. Definitely. I want to ask what you do. Obviously, we've got an audience here hanging out with us. They're vibing with you. They're picking up everything you're putting down. But I'd like to ask, what you do. You know, volunteer work for job, businesses that you'd like to share with us.
Sure. Well, you know that I'm a professor, so that's something I just my day job, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I am really, really pleased that I am in business with my husband. So we own an insurance agency. It's called Hill Insurance Service. Um, and he does all the work. I'll be honest with you. He does all the work. I just, come by and say, hey, everything going okay? Okay, good. We're good, right? But I feel so blessed because I was gifted with this amazing man who has the same belief system as I do.
Wow.
And he really is committed to helping other people be their best selves, which is something that's really important to me. Like that's what I feel like my mission on earth is to help people figure out how to be their best selves. And so through, selling insurance, we do life and health insurance. Um, we get a chance to do that. We get a chance to talk with people who are not sure what they should do. They may be having health issues. They may not think that they can afford really good medical services, and we help them get that. And that is really fulfilling to know that we can help people. We're starting a new business that has, as yet, does not have a name, but it's coming. But it's also helping people be their best selves. It's about metabolic testing, and no matter what age, no matter your gender, no matter your current physical situation, the metabolic testing will help you to figure out what's the best plan to get you to optimal.
Wow.
So yeah,
Very
that's what we
cool.
do.
Very
Yeah.
cool. That's awesome. Do any of your kids help out with any of that stuff? Or are they off on their own
Um,
journey?
so the older kids, they give us lots of encouragement and support. They just don't even be bothered, right?
Okay.
Which is, you know what though? You raise your kids for other people in other places. So
Yes.
they're out doing what they're supposed to be doing. They
Yes.
are living their lives. But I
Yes.
have to be honest with you, it makes me feel so good to know that all of our kids are proud of us.
I
Like,
love
I
that.
don't know if people think about if their kids are proud of them. Our kids are proud of us. And it just feels so good.
That's
It
fantastic.
does.
That's fantastic. Very cool. What does success mean to you?
Success means freedom. It means being free, whatever freedom looks like to you, right? So for me, freedom means being able to to be able to make a living, and it's not location dependent. That's really important to me, to be able to kind of decide my own schedule, to be able to do the things that really matter to me when I want to do them. Freedom, I'm sorry, success also means getting to be who you are and shedding your cares and concerns about what other people think. I mean, yes, I care if people think I am of good character. That's important to me.
Mhm.
But, years ago, I would be worried about, oh gosh, does somebody think I'm pretty enough or smart enough? Or did I have the right clothes? Is somebody going to laugh at the kind of car I'm driving? Is somebody going to criticize me the way that I mother? And I don't care about that stuff anymore. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is, what have I done in service to someone else?
Yeah,
That's freedom to me.
it's great. I want to give a shout out real fast to those that are hanging out with us live. We so appreciate you being here, supporting us, listening in on Renee's journey and story here. For those of you joining us a little later and you're watching us on the replay, please make sure you hashtag replay so that we know that you were here, we know that you were listening, and we can send you some love. Renee, I would like to kind of close up with some advice. Obviously, we have an audience here listening in, enjoying your story, pulling inspiration from you. If we have a female on the line right now who is struggling with being her authentic self, knowing who she actually is, pulling back all the limiting beliefs, pulling back all of the other people's opinions about what she's supposed to be doing with her life. Um, but, struggling to get to that point. What would be some advice you'd give to her?
I would say, get into the habit of asking yourself every day, whenever you come up to a situation that's challenging or confusing, ask yourself, what would I love? Not what can I tolerate, not what am I supposed to do, not what does somebody expect me to do. What would I love?
Oh, that's good.
Visualize that, and then start moving towards that thing, whatever that feeling is that says, I would love this outcome. It doesn't matter how strange or wild it is.
Mhm.
If you would love it, it's been put in your heart for a reason. Move towards that. That
Yes.
will help you to really tap into, who am I really? Because I'm thinking about, what would I love? What
Yes.
lights me up?
Yes. That's awesome. That actually reminds me, one of the first people that I started listening to when I started coming into my power and started to realize that I no longer wanted to be a victim. I fell into Joe Osteen,
Hmm.
who runs a huge church in Texas, actually. But I no longer follow him anymore. My beliefs have changed a little bit since then, but he was like one of the first people that really got me into, personal power and like, being who I am and authentically myself. And he said just that in one of his seminars. I'll never forget it. He said, if you have something that's in your heart, doesn't matter what it is, but if it's in your heart, if you are imagining it and thinking it and feeling it, it's meant for you. I
Hmm.
love that.
Hmm.
I love that.
I
Very
agree
cool.
with that.
Very cool. Well, I thank you so much, Renee, for being here, for hanging out, for stepping up to the plate on such last notice. You're awesome. This was incredibly emotional for me. And I think a lot of it is because right off the bat, you freaking hit my heartstring with your story matching up with my story somewhat.
Hmm.
You're quite a little bit younger than me, which is why I think the emotion, because I just can't even imagine. Um, but I thank you for being here and for taking the time. Do you have any closing thoughts before I close up here with everybody?
No, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate having the chance to talk with you. And again, I'm blown away by what you've created and what you're continuing to create.
Thank
And
you.
I'm so glad to have met you. And I'm going to, of course, now be part of the community because this is what I need.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for everything. I so appreciate you. I appreciate those that are watching here live. Like I said, if you're watching on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay in the comments so that we know that you were here and you were listening. Thank you so much for joining us here on Her Version and hanging out with us. I never know, what emotions are going to come up for me, and when an overwhelming emotion of goodness happens, sometimes I can't help myself. So I also want to thank you, Renee, for holding space for me. I appreciate you.
Thank you. This is wonderful.
This community is expanding every single day and is filled with females who are striving to do better than they did yesterday. For those of you that are new to this podcast, make sure you like content like that. And you like content like this, make sure you subscribe. If you have a story to share, make sure you reach out to me personally or at herversion.life. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria, and I'm so grateful to be here sharing a platform that allows people to share their truth and inspire others. Do something awesome today. Until next time.